Hello and welcome back to part two of our Football Rewind show. In this section we're going to talk about the substitutes rule for next season and whether or not a Super League will be a good idea in terms of the top six breaking away from the rest of the Premier League and forming an all-European Super League. So we'll start with this substitutions rule. Obviously there's an argument, should we have 5 subs again next season or should we stick with 3 as usual? What are we thinking on this?
Ridiculous.
Yeah, stupid.
We should stick with the old 3. Is that what we're all?
I think there's two bad things here. I think one is the fact that it's even just the general rule of 5 subs. I think that's stupid anyway. Having 5 substitutions, I think it favours big teams massively, and also the fact that we're having another vote on it. I think it's ridiculous. Yeah,
well, that's the thing. Yeah, obviously there was one vote, and the decision was we're going back to 3, and then some of the big 6 reports are differing, but it's definitely with this saying 5 of the top 6 or the big 6, not the top 6, big 6, have apparently voted. They want a revote because they're not happy about it. They want 5 subs instead of 3. So apparently they're going to do it. They're going to have a revote.
What is
which I just think is a shambles, to be honest with you. What was the original one?
The only reasoning I saw behind it was that they've gathered enough interest to warrant another vote. But what? There's 5 teams there that want a revote.
Exactly.
Imagine if 5 teams towards the bottom, would that have gathered enough?
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. That is true.
A revote, because I highly doubt it would have done.
No.
Yeah, bottom 5 come in and ask for a revote. No way.
No chance. Yeah, they get told to go. But I agree with you too. It's just stupid, isn't it? I mean, what a stupid thing. I
don't think you need 5 subs anyway. Like even in terms of a physical aspect of it and sort of fitness, I don't think you need 5 anyway.
No, I mean the whole reason it was brought in was because obviously after the pandemic came, you had to go straight back into competitive football. So there was that level of fitness that hadn't been built up that meant that players could get fatigued a lot easier. But they've had the time off, then they've had a little bit of a pre-season and they're going back in. Yeah, it's not the same as what necessarily you usually have to start up a season, but it's enough for teams to go back to a normality of what it is, and like you said, 3 subs. Like, I understand where 5 subs is beneficial. You know, yeah, obviously you get more players on the pitch, more time, you get to see more creativity if some players have it, with more opportunities that people get. But we've had 3 subs for as long as anyone can ever remember. Just go back to what it was and the way that it worked in the past.
Yeah, I always believe it don't need fixing. Don't change it. You know what I mean? Like, just leave it alone. But I think what they're arguing is they're in more competitions than other teams. Do you know what I mean? In terms you've got Europe as well, which is travelling. I know these are all, to me, they're all excuses. This is what people are saying. Like,
I can get their argument, but then at the same time, you know, City, for example, they've got 2 squads. 2 world-class squads. They don't need 5 subs. They can rotate that squad. You know, if we were in Europe again and we wanted, we could probably do with the 5 subs because we don't have a second team. We have about 5-6 players that we can maybe play.
Plus, as well, you've got it's not Johnston Paints now, is it? But
can't even remember.
What is it called now? You know, where they've got the League 1, League 2.
Well,
they let some under 23s in that now, don't they? Some,
yeah.
They got teams for that. So why do you need?
And the reason as to 5, the only way that I could give any sort of, you know, the thumbs up to it coming into play is if there was a rule about homegrown players or youth players being part of that. So obviously you'd either need 7 players on the pitch or 7 combined on the pitch at a certain time or something like that. So then it was useful because obviously in the past there's been a lot of talk about clubs not utilising their academies, and the Johnston Paints Trophy and now the Checkatrade Trophy has been a way to give them that competitive football that's required against other professional teams for them to show what they need to do in that format. But if they are going to be giving, like you say, this revote 4 or 5 subs to be in play, I think the only thing that that's going to do is make that top 6 be further in quality because they can afford to get these players that then can be satisfied with the amount of playing time that they need because of more subs being allowed. So the only way that I could give it a thumbs up is if you only allowed on the bench, or you need to have on the bench, a certain amount of homegrown players or players under a certain age so that they're the ones coming on and getting quality first team appearances in a competition like the Premier League. Other than that, I think it's a shambles, and like I say, the whole democracy of it. If there's been a vote, it's already been said that 3's fine. Leave it at that. Why is it a revote?
I could definitely accept if it was 3 subs plus 2 subs with homegrown players. I could definitely accept that. I think the worry for me is playing a team like City or Liverpool and them bringing on 25, 30 plus £1 million players.
Exactly.
That's what I don't think is fair. But I still don't, even after the revote, I still don't think it comes to fruition really, because I think you need 14. I think you need something like 14 votes for a vote to pass in the Premier League. You need a 14 majority.
I mean, that might be then where the top 5 or top 6 are coming into play, because if it's a 14 and they don't get a 14 for the top 3, then technically there's not a majority on either side. So that could be where the top 6 are, are calling for this.
But if they vote for it again, I don't think it passes anyway. I don't think they're getting off.
No.
Well, apparently they try and put pressure on another team, saying, we won't help you out, we won't give you.
Bullies, aren't they? Big bullies, man.
Yeah, but I just think it's a joke, really. We've had a vote, and I don't agree with 5 subs anyway.
Yeah, I think that's the point. I think we don't like the idea of 5 subs anyway, and we don't like the idea of there being another vote, which is even more stupid.
And I was going to say, I mean, if you look into the stats of it, the 5 subs, it just favours the bigger teams. So I don't know as to why they think that lower teams would want it to come in. And like you said,
they don't, do they? They don't want it to come in.
They just don't care. They literally just think about themselves, and they just want money from it. And it's just down to the fact of then they can just create this overwhelming gap that means that even if they do have bad seasons, the likelihood is they're still going to get this.
That's what they want. That's what they want, though, isn't it?
That they need for the commercial side of it. And for me, it's because football has become more of a commercial business rather than being about the game.
Oh, 100%.
If you look back 15 years ago, football was football. You still had, big money signings from big teams, this, that, and the other, but you could still have teams like a Charlton or, like a Blackburn that were in there that could compete. But now,
it's just stupid.
You've got a team like Fulham that have come up. Well, Fulham's not really a good example because last time they were in the Premier League, they blew all the kits, didn't they?
Yeah.
But Norwich, for example, from last year, they came in and they didn't really do much. Again, you can argue the opposite side with Sheffield United, but that's an outlier for me. The likelihood is now when you get Championship teams promoted that haven't been spending the money or don't have the finances needed, they're just going to go straight back down. Well,
Norwich didn't want to do what Fulham did they?
No.
Fulham can they've got that much money that they can afford to take a relegation hit with spending 100 million. Whereas I think Norwich were probably quite like us, where they thought, right, if we come up and spend a lot, if we go down, we could be in trouble.
Yeah.
But it's just slowly but surely. I think this season's going to be a real telling one, because now there's some massive teams in there with a lot of money, and I think slowly but surely it's just working the way out. These sort of teams that haven't got a lot of money. Every season, it's just another one goes and another one goes, and then a big team comes up. Like, Villa get the chance now to. I know they could be spending over 100 million this window again. So yeah, it's pretty frustrating, really. But it's what money.
Other thing is as well is these big 6 have got the attraction, haven't they? Players want to go and play for them more than Villa might have a good amount of money, but they're going to attract bigger names, aren't they? These top clubs. So I mean, Messi's on about going to Man City, so I can't wait till they fire him up against us again next season, and he brings Messi on instead. Because tends to have a thing with Guardiola, where it doesn't matter how many he's winning by, he'll still bring the big names off the bench.
Yeah. That's always got.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So obviously, this European Super League, it's been bandied about a lot. This, as we've said already, this has brought the argument up again. I think money's the main reason in it, really. Like you said, the difference between the big 6, so to speak, and the rest of the Premier League. What would you be in favour of it, a Super League ever, or would you not at all?
I'm a no.
You're a no?
Yeah.
Get them gone.
Get
them gone. Honestly.
Yeah, I'm starting. I used to like James or Dead Nod.
Yeah.
I'm starting to just.
When the idea first came up,
fancy it a bit.
you weren't for it whatsoever. You
No,
know?
I weren't. No.
The more and more that you see these big clubs doing what they do for themselves, it just get them gone. Honestly,
But I think that's the motivation for you two and a lot of others is that it's more the sick of big teams rather than it being for the sole reason of having a Super League. I think the biggest thing for me is the fact that there's no relegation, so the whole sort of like competition aspect of it just disappears. You're in a team with the best teams in the world. You're going to get to the point where you don't care if you finish last. You're in the best league in the world with teams that are just all as good as you. I think the whole point of the Premier League is that you run scared the whole time because you don't want to get relegated because it can change the whole club. No relegation, it just loses the whole sort of aspects of football competition. You lose all the history of sort of like rivalries. Liverpool and Everton, never again. I don't like that idea. Rivalries.
Yeah, from a selfish point of view, I'd be like, get gone, like Marcus. I'm sick of it now, and I think it's because it's them who's brought it up, innit? I'm sure it was some of them clubs that are all like considering that they want their own league.
They want to own football, don't they? That's what they want.
Yeah.
They don't want UEFA.
And do you know what? I think it'd be a failure.
oh yeah, so do I.
I think they'd be trying to run back after a year or two. I don't think it'd work. I mean, what like you said, it'd be boring, wouldn't it? No relegation.
They just want to own football, don't they? The big clubs. They make that league and they make their own rules. They do what they want. They don't have to, go back because UEFA's had so much stick on it. I
honestly don't think it'd work. I think it'd be crap. I think everybody just carry on watching Premier League with the other 14 teams in.
Because there's no Champions League or Europa League football for them teams. There's no relegation. No. And I think it's a bit stupid. It's like it's like a membership. It's like a private membership club. You get 20 years guaranteed membership. That's what it is. It's like a private members club for the best. It's weird.
I think what it'd do is it'd bring back the integrity of the English league. Again, I'll go back 15 years, and I'd love watching a game like a Man United Fulham, or a Liverpool versus Wolves, because it was football in its finest. You'd have one great team, one team that maybe wasn't so good. They'd battle it out, and it'd be something that you'd look forward to, watching because the unknown could happen. But nowadays, you look at it, and yes, similar can still happen. But for me, it's just delaying the inevitable of a Liverpool win, a City win, a United win. And I just lost all interest in it.
I think that's why I'd struggle saying that I'd want them to go, because I still do. We beat Man United last season at Old Trafford and it was brilliant. So
it takes a bit of that.
When you beat someone like that, it's great winning any Premier League game. But when you beat one of them big six, it's
the biggest thing for me though. What's the cut off is it. I know on face value it's the quality of these teams and it's the quality because of the money. But what's the cut off? Aston Villa are worth just as much as some of these big teams.
Yeah.
You send City, Liverpool, Arsenal, United, all these teams up, but then you've got teams like Wolves, Villa, all worth multiple times more than clubs like Burnley and Sheffield United and that. What's the cut off? Because then those teams become the ones that we just shifted away.
Yeah, but for me, it's the fact that them teams that you said to go, your United, your Cities, your Liverpools, your Arsenals, they can afford to be spending this ridiculous amounts of money on players, transfer fees, wages, this, that, the other. Yeah, Wolves still can, but not necessarily to the point of that. So they would become the new top 4, top 6, or whatever it is.
20 years' time, Leicester City are the new Man City.
The likelihood is that it would. The likelihood is
they are, though, aren't they? Because I think they're worth billions, are they not?
Yeah, the likelihood is that it would. But for me,
it's just a constant cycle. The rise to the top with the most money, most players, and Leicester aren't far off. Well, Leicester are there now. You send Leicester up as well, and then you send someone else up, and it just becomes then the Premier League becomes like a championship.
I would say at the end of the day, the financial fair play just needs a complete revamp, because the fact that teams can be spending this amount of money, where you've got a team like City that can be spending hundreds of millions. And then you've got teams at the other end of the table that are supposed to be competing at the same level of the league, that their max output is £15 million in a season. It's just unequal.
It's such a difficult concept, though. I find it so hard because you can't just say, right, everyone spends the same amount of money. There's a wage cap, and it's like, but that's part of it. As much as it hurts me because we can't compete on that level, but you can't remove that aspect of it because then how does that? I just don't even know how that works.
Again, to me, it's not the fact that they should be, capping it somewhere in between. I think it's just got silly now. I think it's just got to the point now where it's just ridiculous. You'd look back in the day and the max you'd see a footballer on would be like 50, 60 grand a week. You've got probably 50 plus in that league now that are on 100k plus.
It's crazy the money some of these.
It's just ridiculous. I mean, I saw it over there. Dean Henderson just signed a £120,000 contract at United after not playing a first team game or something in the Premier League.
What do you do then? Like, it's just for concept reasons. Say they said, right, you can't sign anyone over 50 million. Do players move because they want to play for that club, and maybe that brings in more of an aspect of like, I want to go there because I want to play for the manager, I want to play for the club, I want to play with those players. Or do you say, right, absolute maximum is 150 million or 100 million, and that's it, and that becomes like the new height, and it sort of maybe redistributes value again. Because everything's going up, and you've got like your Sancho now worth 140, 150, something stupid.
Yeah.
But like, so if you capped it at 120, Sancho comes down a little bit to the max, and then everyone relative to that comes down as well. Maybe I don't know how that would.
I think we've gone too far now, aren't we? With money that
it's only going to get bigger, isn't it?
Past the point, yeah. We've passed the point where you could do anything now. There was a time when you could, but it's not going to happen now. Like you said, it's not going to work, is it?
No,
you can't.
For me, it all started when City got took over. Before that, football were amazing. There were barely any, transfer fees that you'd raise your eyebrows at. There were the one here and there, but nowadays, you see these figures.
You've got teams like PSG, though, aren't you, in other countries as well.
Yeah,
it's just there's just so much money in it. The media's played a big part because the amount of money they get from media, used to study it like at uni, just ridiculous amount.
Specifically England as well. I mean, you look at
Premier League. If you're in the Premier League,
Spain, it's like 20 million or something in it over there in Bundesliga Spain, and over there, just ridiculous.
You're over hundreds of millions.
Yeah,
just main income is from media now.
Yeah,
because they all want the rights to show Premier League football. It's just madness how much they get now. So I can't. What can you say? You can't spend this, you can't spend that. But if they're getting the money, then what can you do? I think it's just we're too far now, so it's hard to say. But in terms of the Super League, I probably wouldn't want it to happen overall. But there are times when things like the substitute things happen, and I just say, just go then, go and make your own league. But I would miss that concept of having I've missed that feeling of having a chance of beating a bigger
100%. But like I say, I just think it's. It's nice. I don't think it's ever going to happen, mate. I just can't see it. But also, just like I said earlier, it's just one of them where it's just going to another 20 years and it's the same again.
Yeah. So the logistics of the whole thing would just be too ridiculous to import.
I'd feel for that. I'd feel for the fans of the Big Six, the Big Six clubs as well, because obviously I'm just talking about how I'd feel and how we'd feel as fans. But if I were a fan of a Man City, Man United, I wouldn't want to be travelling all the way around the world to watch my own team. You know what I mean? I don't think it wouldn't be right to me, but I wouldn't put it past it happening. Personally, I wouldn't be surprised at all. With money and things, and these big clubs they keep demanding more and more. The more powerful they get, so we'll have to wait and see. But no, I am against it. I think on the whole, and James has persuaded me a bit more in this. I'm still against it. But are you still on the?
Yeah, get him
Marcus,
gone.
You still on the...
Get him gone. Honestly, obviously, I'm impartial to the situation. Being a Blackburn fan, we don't experience the highs and lows of playing in the Premier League anymore. So we don't get them thrills of going to a top 6 team and even just going to the stadium every season, because obviously that in itself can be something. But obviously even beating them, that's another thing. But for me, from not necessarily an outsider, but from someone who doesn't experience all that, they're just spoiled brats. They just want everything that suits them. They're not fussed about it suiting the whole league and suiting what's required. So for me, just get them gone.
Yeah, I think it's. I think the only way it would work is if you did introduce some sort of wage cap or transfer cap on teams after the Super League for the new Premier League, because otherwise, like I say, it just happen again.
Yeah, I mean, they've gone and put in salary caps in League One, League Two now. I think if there was ever a time to try and bring football back to reality and bring back the integrity of the game, this is it. They've got the reasons to do it. They can focus on certain things like that. But there's not even really been talk of it for Premier League. There's been talks of it League One, League Two that have already happened. League Championship as well, there's been murmurs of it. Premier League, nothing whatsoever. So, I mean, that in itself, that just shows how, for the Premier League aren't willing to change things around.
I think as well, Premier League clubs haven't been as affected, have they, as these lower league clubs. Like, it's been tough on them, and I think again that shows the gap, doesn't it? Now,
I'm going to say that in itself, though. I mean, obviously the Premier League hasn't been affected by it, but all that's just going to do there is just going to make the gap between the Premier League and the Championship even bigger.
Oh yeah, down a salary cap, definitely.
If someone like Blackburn were to go up this season, we'd be screwed. We'd be a laughing stock of the league. We'd probably set the new record for Derby's lowest ever points total, because we wouldn't have the means and capabilities to go about signing these players, or but even just the general match day feeling. It wouldn't be as much as what it could be.
The gap's ridiculous now, isn't it?
Honestly, I mean, the fact that a championship playoff final is the most expensive game in sport, it says how big the gap is in itself. I think you shouldn't be more rewarded, more probably for winning the Champions League than anything, because realistically, that's the be all and end all of football. He's going on to win. Well, maybe not even that. Even the FIFA Club World Cup, they're the be all and end all of what you've got to win. You beat everything. Then you beat the best of Europe, Americas, all that kind of stuff. But for it to be a second tier game in England, that says how big the gap is for me more than anything. Because without that, like you say, it's hundreds and hundreds of millions that clubs have got potential of earning. And for me, that's where a lot of clubs in the Championship are going wrong, because that's just making them want that more, which then if they fail, the club fails. And then they've got the fans and the whole club suffer for the next 5 years. So, again, we've gone on a bit of a tangent there, but for me...
It's such a difficult question to answer, though, because we don't know enough about it. Nobody does, really.
No.
And the repercussions of it, how it would work, is just such an unknown. It's such a hard one to answer, so...
Yeah, it's a lot of opinion-based, isn't it, really, this Super League. I think some are... Obviously, people are going to be for it, but I think more are against it on the whole. I wouldn't like to see... I hate seeing things change, like I said about the subs, so I don't think I'd like to see it personally, but I've sat on fence a little bit, Anna. But no, I'm more with James. I think I wouldn't like it to happen, but I can see why people are saying.
Yes, I mean I can appreciate the frustration. I get frustrated more than anyone with these big teams, but just in terms of how it would work, I just don't think it's feasible, and I think there's some, I think those lower teams probably need these bigger teams to keep going, really. The money's there because of the big teams, TV money.
I mean, that's true. That's another thing, isn't it? Media would pull, I reckon, on Premier League.
You imagine the Premier League losing tens of billions, maybe, close to that, in worth, gone from the Premier League. Premier League had taken it, and TV money for finishing, and it'd just be a lot less, and I think we'd struggle.
Well, look how much more the top teams are on TV than teams like Burnley.
Because wages would stay the same, wouldn't they? And initially, and you remove so much money from sort of the whole competition, the whole league, that a club trying to then pay out the same wages and transfer fees is be virtually impossible for teams like us.
Yeah.
It goes even deeper than that as well. I mean, you look at FA Cup games. There's some teams that rely on a once in every 5 years of playing a Man United, Chelsea, to
Yeah,
run the club.
them lower league clubs. Yeah,
So
it's a
without that there as well, you know, that's other clubs that might go out of business that are a third party to it all. So, like you say, hypothetically speaking, for me, it's a great thing, get them gone. But in realism of it, it just wouldn't be feasible for it in one.
No.
But also, there'd be too much backlash from what that'd bring to not only, like you say, other clubs, but to the English League in itself. Because, like you say, the money that's in it, the commercial side of it, the pull of the league in itself, it just wouldn't have the. I mean, to be honest, any league wouldn't. I think, in general, football would then just be focused on this new so-called UEFA Super League because no one would really have interest in, you know, like a Bundesliga top tier. Spanish top. I mean, you look at like a Spanish top tier as well. You know, if there's 4 teams gone out of there of Atletico, Sevilla, Barca, and Real, you've got left there Valencia, Villarreal. Is that it? You know, there's clubs with history, but like you say, it's all pulls of plenty of leagues just leaving. Again, you've got to then look at the way that players. Because how would a player decide if they're going to go and play in this next federation that had come along, or play in the federation that has all the teams back in it? And like you say, there's too much in it.
Yeah, there's too much complications in there.
Yeah.
I think I would feel for them fans. I didn't really think about we should do for the lower league clubs. You know, they're massive in it when they get the opportunity to play one of them top clubs.
Yeah,
for them to survive and you know help them out and stuff. And great for their fans, isn't it? Some of them have never been able to see these top players. So yeah, there's definitely that to consider as well. I think overall, it won't be feasible, but it wouldn't surprise me if one day we see it. I don't think. How much money there is, but it's definitely not. I can't see it being it's not going to happen in the next few years or anything like that, is it? So, and I probably wouldn't want it to happen. I don't think I'll ever change my mind on that now, really. And I think we've all, even though Marcus is saying get them gone. Overall, we think feasibly it's just not doable.
Yeah, overall, it won't happen. I probably wouldn't like it to happen either. Purely down to the fact of the third party impact it have on other things.
Yeah.
But if we're speaking hypothetically, you know, one day you could just say, right, that's it, it's done and everything's perfect. Honestly, I'd like to see the back of him.
I'd like to see the back of him, yeah. Anyway, I think we'll leave it there, lads, for this week then. So, yeah, we hope you've all enjoyed that again. Like I said, apologies that I was almost sat on the fence, really. My horse is hurting, I've been sat on that fence that much today, but no, these two at least fought the corner. But yeah, so overall, Super Cup, we're all thinking not feasible. Overall, we wouldn't go with it, but can understand some frustrations though. But anyway, we'll be back again next week with another 2-part football rewind show. Not sure what we'll be talking about yet, but we'll let you know next week. So hopefully you enjoyed it again. Cheers again, Marcus and James, coming on.
Oh, thank you. Enjoyed it again.
Cheers off. So yeah, we'll see you next time, or speak to you next time on Spotify.
Yeah, cheerio.